All right, gather round, friends, and let the embers of storytelling warm your souls. Before we dive into the tale of the rich man and the poor teacher, I want to share a little something with you. This is a story woven from the threads of gratitude, the enduring power of education, and the extraordinary things that happen when we remember where we came from. This isn't just a story, it's a journey. A journey back to the dusty roads of Harmony Creek, Arizona, where a single act of kindness can change the course of a lifetime. It's a journey into the heart of what it means to give back, to remember those who shaped us, and to build a future for those who come after. So, settle in, make yourselves comfortable, and let the story unfold. I'm eager to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop a comment below and let me know where in the world this story finds you. And if you enjoy what you hear, please subscribe to the channel for more tales from the heart. Now, let the story begin. The desert wind whipped across the cracked asphalt of Harmony Creek, Arizona, a town that had seen better days, much like Miss Eleanor Vance. Dust devils danced in the empty lot across from the Harmony Creek Elementary School, a building that looked like it had been built from faded crayons and sun-bleached memories. Eleanor, her thin frame draped in a worn cardigan, swept the cracked concrete of her classroom, the rhythmic swish of the broom a lonely counterpoint to the silence. She'd been teaching for 42 years, most of them in this very room. The posters on the walls, depicting smiling children and the alphabet, were faded, their colors muted by the relentless sun. The desks, scarred and scratched with generations of initials, held the ghosts of laughter and whispered secrets. Eleanor was a relic, a whisper of a time when teachers were revered, when education was a beacon in the vast expanse of rural America. Now, the school was crumbling, the town was shrinking, and the funds, well, the funds had long since dried up. She was the last teacher standing, a lone sentinel in a forgotten outpost. Her gaze drifted to the window. Outside, the desert stretched, a vast, unforgiving landscape. It mirrored the emptiness she felt inside. Her pension was barely enough to cover her modest rent and the meager groceries she bought from the dusty general store. The doctors had told her she needed a new hip, but the surgery was a distant dream, a luxury she couldn't afford. A knock, soft yet persistent, startled her. She turned, her heart skipping a beat. It was rare to have visitors. A tall, broad-shouldered man stood in the doorway. He wore a crisp, tailored suit, a stark contrast to the faded denim and work boots that were the uniform of Harmony Creek. He had a kind face, etched with the lines of time, and eyes that held a familiar warmth. "Miss Vance?" he asked, his voice deep and resonant. Eleanor's brow furrowed. "Yes. Can I help you?" "My name is Daniel Thorne," he said, stepping into the room. "I was a student of yours, a long time ago." Daniel Thorne. The name was a whisper in the back of her mind, a faint echo from a distant past. She'd taught hundreds of children, their faces blurring into a collective memory. But something about this man, the way he held himself, the intensity in his gaze. "Daniel. Daniel Thorne," she repeated, her voice trembling slightly. You were a quiet boy, weren't you? Always reading." A smile spread across Daniel's face, a genuine, heartfelt smile that lit up his eyes. "Yes, ma'am. You always encouraged me. You saw something in me, even when I didn't see it myself." Eleanor remembered a small, shy boy with bright, intelligent eyes. He was different, a dreamer in a town that valued practicality. She'd given him books, encouraged his curiosity, and told him that the world was bigger than Harmony Creek. "You were a good student, Daniel," she said, her voice soft. I always knew you'd do great things. Great things? Daniel chuckled, a hint of sadness in his voice. I suppose that depends on your definition of great. I built a company, made a lot of money. But it's empty, without the foundation you helped me build. He looked around the classroom, his gaze lingering on the faded posters and the scarred desks. This place, it hasn't changed much, has it? No, Eleanor said, her voice heavy with weariness. It hasn't. And you're still here, he said, his eyes filled with a mixture of admiration and concern. Someone has to be, she replied, a hint of defiance in her voice. These children, they deserve an education, even if the world has forgotten them. Daniel's eyes softened. He saw the lines etched on her face, the weariness in her posture, the quiet dignity that radiated from her. He saw the woman who had believed in him, who had given him the tools to escape the confines of Harmony Creek. Miss Vance, he said, his voice low and earnest. I owe you a debt I can never repay. You changed my life. And now, I want to change yours. Eleanor looked at him, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and disbelief. What do you mean? I know this town is struggling, Daniel said. I know this school is falling apart. And I know you're working yourself to the bone, trying to keep it alive. I want to help. Help? Eleanor repeated, her voice barely a whisper. I want to build a new school, Daniel said, his voice firm. A school that will honor your dedication, your sacrifice. A school that will give the children of Harmony Creek the education they deserve. Eleanor's eyes filled with tears. She had spent her life giving, asking for nothing in return. And now, after all these years, someone was offering to give back. Daniel, she said, her voice choked with emotion. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, he said, his voice gentle. Just let me do this. Let me honor the woman who changed my life. He pulled out a thick, leather-bound notebook and a pen. I want to hear your ideas, Miss Vance. What do you think this school needs? What kind of classrooms? What kind of resources? Eleanor, her heart overflowing with gratitude, began to speak. She talked about the importance of a library, a science lab, a computer room. She spoke of the need for art supplies, music instruments, and a playground where children could run and play. As she spoke, Daniel listened, his eyes filled with admiration. He saw the fire in her eyes, the passion that had kept her going all these years. He saw the woman who had shaped his life, the woman who had given him the courage to dream. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the classroom. The desert wind continued to howl, but inside, the air was filled with hope. Two people, bound by an invisible thread of gratitude and respect, were planning a future that would bring light to a forgotten corner of the world. Daniel stayed until late in the evening, listening to Eleanor's stories, her dreams, her hopes for the children of Harmony Creek. He learned about the struggles they faced, the challenges they overcame, the resilience that defined their spirit. As he drove back to his hotel, Daniel thought about his own life. He had achieved success, wealth, and recognition. But it was empty, hollow. He had forgotten the values that Miss Vance had instilled in him, the importance of giving back, of making a difference. He knew then that building a school was more than just a gesture of gratitude. It was a way to reconnect with his own humanity, to find meaning in his success. It was a way to honor the woman who had shown him that even in the dust and despair of Harmony Creek, diamonds could be found. The news spread through Harmony Creek like wildfire. Daniel Thorne, the boy who'd left for the city and returned a wealthy man, was building a new school. Not just any school, but a state-of-the-art facility, a beacon of learning in the heart of the desert. The townsfolk, initially skeptical, were soon swept up in the excitement. They'd seen promises broken before, heard whispers of change that never materialized. But Daniel was different. He was present, hands-on, a force of nature. He hired local contractors, consulted with Eleanor on every detail, and even rolled up his sleeves to help with the demolition of the old school building. The construction site became the heart of the town. The clang of hammers, the roar of bulldozers, and the chatter of workers replaced the desolate silence. Eleanor, despite her age, was a constant presence, her eyes sparkling with renewed vigor. She oversaw the design of the classrooms, ensuring they were bright and spacious, filled with natural light. She selected the books for the library, choosing titles that would ignite the imaginations of the children. Daniel, meanwhile, navigated the bureaucratic hurdles, securing permits and funding, cutting through red tape with a determination born of gratitude and a genuine desire to make a difference. He insisted on using sustainable materials, incorporating solar panels and rainwater harvesting systems, making the school a model of environmental responsibility. He also made sure the teachers were well compensated. He understood that a good education started with good educators. He offered competitive salaries, comprehensive benefits, and professional development opportunities, attracting talented teachers from across the state. As the school took shape, so did the town. New businesses opened, drawn by the promise of a revitalized community. The general store expanded, offering a wider selection of goods. A small cafe opened, serving fresh coffee and homemade pastries. The whispers of decline were replaced by the hum of progress. One afternoon, Daniel found Eleanor sitting on a bench overlooking the construction site, her eyes filled with tears. "Miss Vance," he said, sitting beside her. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, Daniel," she said, wiping her eyes. It's beautiful. More beautiful than I ever imagined." "It's all thanks to you," he said, his voice gentle. "You're the one who inspired this." Eleanor shook her head. "No, Daniel. It's thanks to you. You remembered. You cared." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "We both cared, Miss Vance. And together, we're making a difference." The grand opening of the Eleanor Vance School was a celebration of hope and community. The entire town turned out, dressed in their Sunday best. Children, their eyes wide with excitement, explored the new classrooms, their fingers tracing the colorful murals on the walls. Parents, their faces etched with pride, watched as their children stepped into a brighter future. Daniel stood at the podium, his voice filled with emotion. "This school is a testament to the power of education, the transformative impact of a single teacher. Miss Eleanor Vance, you have dedicated your life to shaping the minds of our children, to instilling in them the values of knowledge, curiosity, and compassion. You are a true hero, a beacon of light in our community." Eleanor, her cheeks flushed with emotion, stepped forward, her voice trembling slightly. "I never expected this," she said. "I only ever wanted to make a difference, to give these children the tools they needed to succeed. And now, thanks to Daniel, they have a chance, a real chance." The crowd erupted in applause, a wave of gratitude and admiration washing over Eleanor. She looked at the children, their faces filled with hope, and she knew that her life's work had been worthwhile. The school became a hub of activity, a vibrant center of learning and community. Children flocked to the library, eager to explore the world through books. They conducted experiments in the science lab, their eyes wide with wonder. They created art in the studio, their imagination soaring. The teachers, inspired by Eleanor's dedication and Daniel's generosity, went above and beyond, creating a nurturing and stimulating learning environment. The school's test scores soared, and its graduates went on to attend prestigious universities and pursue successful careers. Harmony Creek, once a forgotten town, became a model of rural revitalization. Other communities, inspired by its success, began to invest in their own schools, creating a ripple effect of positive change. Daniel, meanwhile, continued to support the school, establishing a scholarship fund and mentoring the students. He also became a vocal advocate for rural education, using his influence to raise awareness of the challenges faced by small-town schools. He often visited Eleanor, sitting with her in the library, reminiscing about the past and discussing the future. They had formed a deep bond, a friendship built on mutual respect and admiration. One evening, as they sat watching the sunset from the school's rooftop garden, Daniel turned to Eleanor. "Miss Vance," he said, his voice soft. "You've taught me so much. Not just about reading and writing, but about life, about what really matters." "And you, Daniel," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "You've taught me that even in the darkest of times, hope can bloom. You've shown me that one person can make a difference, that even a small town can shine." They sat in silence for a moment, watching the colors of the sunset paint the sky. The desert wind whispered through the rooftop garden, carrying the scent of blooming flowers. "You know, Daniel," Eleanor said, her voice breaking the silence. "This school, it's not just a building. It's a symbol of what's possible when we believe in each other, when we invest in our children, when we give back to our communities." Daniel nodded, his eyes filled with gratitude. "And it's a symbol of your legacy, Miss Vance. A legacy that will live on for generations to come." The bloom of Harmony Creek was not just in its physical transformation, but in the transformation of its people. The town, once defined by its struggles, was now defined by its resilience, its hope, and its unwavering belief in the power of education. And at the heart of it all was the quiet strength of a poor teacher and the generous heart of a rich man, forever bound by a shared belief in the potential of every child.